I'm in Detroit at the Royal Rumble, and when I get back to the dressing room, I get a text from my cousin Chad who says, Mickey Rourke just called you out on the red carpet of the Screen Actors Guild Awards. I was like, what? Mickey Rourke? Why? He says he wants to wrestle you at WrestleMania. And I was like, me? And he had just done this movie called The Wrestler. Have you guys seen The Wrestler? If you haven't, you should watch it. It's an excellent movie, and Mickey was up for an Oscar for his portrayal of Randy the Ram, I think the name of the guy was. So the idea was that Randy the Ram was kind of a washed-up wrestler looking for the spotlight one more time. That's the backstory. So I'm at the Royal, and then I get this text from my cousin, and then I get somebody says Vince wants to see you in his dressing room. So I go in there, and he goes, I'm sure you heard already that Mickey's called you at WrestleMania. And I said, well, yeah, why is this? Because we want him to wrestle you at WrestleMania. Now, once again, if you know anything about WrestleMania, I think you guys know some more than you did when you walked in here. There's certain matches that have the spotlight. There's the main event matches. There's the Jericho, Shawn Michaels that are given, 30 minutes, whatever it may be. Actually, can I tell one more thing about the Shawn Michaels match? We had gone 4 minutes too long in that match with Shawn. We were supposed to have 25. We went 29. We came through the gorilla position, and Johnny Ace was standing there. And Johnny goes, you guys went 4 minutes too long. And Shawn said, when you have a 5-star match, you can tell me how long my match is. Until then, shut your mouth. And I was like, that's my HBK. There's the arrogant Shawn that we all know and love. So Vince had said that he had pitched this idea for Mickey to wrestle me, and if you're in WrestleMania and not in a title match or a match with a huge story, the best place to be is the star, is working with the star. And every year they always have the outside star, Logan Paul and those type of guys, right? So it was really cool to be considered for this, because I know I can steal the show. I'll be on Entertainment Tonight, and I'll be on The Tonight Show, and whatever it was. Problem is, Mickey let the cat out of the bag. I think he was a little bit buzzed before he was supposed to. And they were going to wait until the end of February until the votes for the Oscars had been turned in. Because Mickey's agency thought that if you are going for an Oscar, you can't go into wrestling, like this low-level wrestling stuff. It's going to look bad, and you won't get the votes that you should get to win the best actor. So they were mad at him for letting the cat out of the bag, and they pulled him off the show, which was a drag, because it was like, once again, I was excited, and then it went away like basically in one day. So I did the Larry King show, which was a really big chat show in the States, and Mickey Rourke was on via satellite, and Vince told me, go on the show and try and goad him into doing the match. Try and get him so mad that he goes, F my agents, I'm going to do this match. So I was like, okay. If you guys go watch on YouTube, I am the biggest ever. And the best part was I was backstage at the Rosemont Horizon, the Allstate Arena in Chicago, at a Metallica concert. I was going to see Metallica. Like, Vince wants you to do this satellite interview. I was like, I'm going to Metallica. And they're like, we'll set you up backstage or whatever. But I had a couple drinks, too, so I was a little bit like loose up. You know what I mean? I was like, this guy. So I went up there, and I was just like, you're a coward. You're a coward, Rourke. You could never do what I do. Shut your mouth. You're a coward. Like, so you could see he's kind of like. But he's still, because if you know anything about Mickey Rourke, he was a big star. He went off the rails, and this was his big comeback. He did The Wrestler, then he did Iron Man 2. He did a couple other things, and he went off the rails again. But for a while, he was saying, this is my second chance. I'm not going to blow this. So he was sticking to the script. Don't do the match. Don't do the match. So and I say afterwards to Vince, I said, what'd you think? He goes, oh, you're way too stiff on him. I said, you told me to be stiff. Not that stiff. Come on, Chris. So then they come up with this idea that, and Vince called me, which he didn't call me often, but when he did, you knew there was something big. He said, I got this idea. I'm going to have you wrestle the legends of the WWE under the same angle that we were going to do with The Wrestler, and that these are guys holding on to the spotlight too long. They just need to disappear. I said, well, who do you have in mind? He's like, Piper, Snuka, and Greg Valentine. Yeah, dude just said, ouch. Welcome to my world, dude. Yeah, this was the problem. Now, all of those guys were huge stars in their own right. Obviously, Roddy Piper, one of the absolute greats upon all the greats, but none of them were ever really known as great workers. Maybe Snook at one point, but he was far past his prime, as all of them were. But they never really did much, and I was like, what am I going to do with these guys? I'm not trying to be funny. Like, I have nothing but respect for the brothers that came up before me, but as a professional myself, at WrestleMania, like, it sure sounds good in theory, and in story it'll be good, but what am I going to do once the match happens? I said, Vince, it's not going to be good. It's not supposed to be good. It's WrestleMania. Who cares? Well, I care. What do you suggest then, damn it? So I said, how about Jerry Lawler? Because I knew that Jerry could still work a match. I could do something with him. I said, take out Valentine. Sorry, Greg. But put in Jerry. And Vince said, that doesn't fit the criteria. I said, what do you mean it doesn't fit the criteria? What criteria? The criteria that I've decided on. The criteria that you've decided on that nobody knows but you. All right, what's the criteria? The guy has to be had to have been in the first WrestleMania and has to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Those were Vince's rules of who could be in this match. Once again, no one else knows these rules, just Vince. I'm like, Lawler, he's like, he wasn't in the first WrestleMania. All right. So then I'm thinking, who did I mention earlier, guys? If you've been paying attention, my three favorites, Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels, and who was the other one? Exactly. So I was like, Ricky had just started back with us as like an agent backstage. What about Ricky Steamboat? He's like, I don't even know if we own his name. And I said, well, he was in the first WrestleMania, and he's going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, like before WrestleMania. He technically fits the criteria. So we found out that we did own his name, or actually Ricky owned his name because he had some issue with his ex-wife who stole his name, and he finally got it back. So then it was official. It was going to be Snuka, Piper, and Ricky Steamboat, one of the all-time greatest workers ever, who even at 58 was better than 80% of our roster at the time. And at least then I knew I could do a match. So I'm excited, I'm ready, and plus it's Ricky Steamboat. We do this build-up for the show, and Ricky did a decent promo. He was never a great promo, but he did a good one. And I think I hit Snuka with a coconut maybe, or pushed a wall over on him. He was at this point in time kind of out of it, let's say. There's no lines to give him because he's not remembering anything. And he's like, brother, it's all about love. It's all about love, brother. It's all about peace and love, brother. Okay, so when I hit you with this coconut, just don't say that. But here was the one. Piper, possibly the greatest promo of all time. But what they would do to him when he came into WWE for the last 5 years of his life, they would give him these long scripts. They would do it with Flair as well. These guys are not script guys. They'd get this whole long script and they're like, I can't memorize this. Vince wants you to memorize it. So they would try. They would do their best to memorize this script. They had never had a script in their life. Just tell them the bullet point of what you want them to say and have them do it. So we had this promo. I remember it was in Tacoma, Washington. And I said to Roddy before, I said, Roddy, I don't want you to even think about this script. I said, let's just throw it away between you and me. I said, what I want is the Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 1. The Roddy Piper who doesn't get the credit for being the dragon to Hulk Hogan's Dragon Slayer. You think about the success of WrestleMania 1, it's all Hogan, Mr. T, Cyndi Lauper, the genius of Vince McMahon, the New York market. What about Piper? He was the guy that people wanted, right? And he had told me before that it kind of pissed him off that he never got that, that credit. I said, I want the Roddy Piper who put those people in that arena, who saved this company. Don't worry about the script. Just be Roddy Piper, the greatest promo of all time. And you can see, like, I'm not saying I inspired him, but I could see that he was like, yeah, I am Roddy Piper. And I saw Roddy in the corner, just kind of thinking to himself, because don't forget, Roddy was in, 60 movies, 70 movies. I did a movie with him in Mexico City in '93 called Immortal Combat. Not mortal, immortal. If you pause at the right moment, you'll see me. I was getting the kicked out of me by this Japanese karate guy called Sonny Chiba, who was about 65 at the time. And on the 10th take, he was literally just kicking me right in the face. But I remember seeing Roddy on that set. He was just in the corner, just kind of going over his lines and getting into his character. And that's what he was doing this night in Tacoma. And he went to the ring, and he did have some notes on his wrist. I remember seeing that. But he cut, which is the last great Roddy Piper promo of his career. And he was talking about how, this little kid came up to me with his grandpa, and his grandpa used to watch me. And yeah, I'm old because this grandpa connects with me. But when the little kid said that his grandpa believed in me, and the kid believed in me, he goes, that's what wrestling's all about, is families. It's about families. It's about mothers and sons and fathers and grandfathers. It's like people were crying, And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so good. And it's like, so I might be old, but I love wrestling, and I love the connection that I have with these people and the connection they have with me, and that's worth more than anything. It's worth more than you. It's worth more than anything that you ever stood for, Chris Jericho. And people are just cheering and crying, and I'm kind of looking sad, and then I just kick him in the shin. Boom. And once again, that was Vince's idea. He goes, I said, so should I punch him? He goes, just kick him in the shin. Why? He goes, have you ever been kicked in the shin? I go, yeah. He goes, it hurts, doesn't it? I go, yeah. He goes, what a pussy move. Kick him in the shin. When he goes down, kick him once in the face, and that's it. And that's all I did. I kicked him in the shin. Piper sold it. I booted him in the face and left. And it was just such a great angle for this match that we had. The match came. I think I beat Snuka in about a minute. He did the best he could. Piper, I think that was the one time in my life I won with a sleeper hold maybe, or no, Enzi. I beat Roddy Piper at WrestleMania with an enziguri. And then I had the last 5 or 6 minutes with Steamboat, which was excellent. And Steamboat ended up staying in the company for another 6 months. I wrestled Steamboat in Tokyo and Hawaii, all around the world after that, because he just continued to get better and better and better. The last thing I'll say is that Mickey Rourke does show up for that match. He's allowed to be there. He's already lost the best actor, so he should have just done the match anyways, but whatever. And he is a former Golden Gloves boxer. So he's going to be watching from the crowd. He's going to come in the ring after. He's going to punch me in the face. Hollywood hero gets the victory, whatever it is. So I show up once again for the rehearsal beforehand. And Rourke is in the ring. And once again, this is a long stadium, so I can see that he's in the ring. And I see our WWF PR person coming towards me. And she's like, I'm like, hey, how's it going? She goes, Mickey Rourke is furious at you. Me? Why? Because of your interview on Larry King Live. I said, well, did you tell him I was just working? She goes, no. I said, you're the worst press agent ever. So I go to the ring. I walk in. Rourke is in there, and he's got 3 guys in the ring with him. And these are muscled up dudes. And one of them is Frank Shamrock, who was one of the original MMA killers. He's Ken Shamrock's brother. Another guy who I found out was like an Israeli bounty hunter. I'm not kidding. And another guy was some other MMA guy. And these guys just looked hard, and they were angry, and they were pissed off. And I see Mickey, and so I walk in. I'm trying to be cool, and gives me the worst fake Hollywood hug ever. Like, hey, bro, good to see you. And I was like, so we're kind of going over what we're going to do, and I realized he's not having it. He's just not paying attention to what I'm saying. He's pissed off. He's angry. So I finally said, listen, Mickey, at the Larry King show that I was just trying to do an angle. He goes, no, you weren't. I said, yeah, I was just trying to, push your buttons and see if I get a reaction. He goes, no, you weren't. He goes, in boxing, you say those things, you're looking for a fight. I said, in boxing, that might be true, but I said, this is wrestling. He goes, what's the difference? I said, let me get this straight. You were just up for a Best Actor award for playing a wrestler, and yet when I came on playing a wrestler, you didn't figure out the difference? And he goes, you were acting? I said, yes. He goes, so I was up for the Best Acting award, and you outacted me. He goes, come here. Final thing was, we work it out. Mickey's going to hit me. It's all great. He's awesome. Mickey Rourke sent me acting books. he used to call me and go, if you need to run over any lines for an audition, come to LA, stay at my house, we'll go over some lines together. Like, he wanted to be my acting teacher or something after he was so impressed. Here's the best part, though. Mickey and his guys leave the ring. Now, these 3 guys, he told me, Mickey said he hired them and flew them to Houston, I believe it was again, on his own dime to beat me up if I decided to shoot on Mickey Rourke. And I said, Mickey, you don't need 3 guys to beat me up. Anyways, he leaves the ring, and I say to Vince, you know those guys, Mickey hired them to beat me up if I tried to shoot. He goes, those guys? I said, he goes, you, me, Finley, Malenko, we would have kicked the shit out of those guys. And then he goes, like, look at that, one guy was a midget. He's talking about Frank Shamrock, one of the toughest UFC fighters of all time. He goes, that guy was a midget. I said, let me tell you this, Vince. If a fight breaks out, I'll take Mickey Rourke, you take the midget. He goes, you're goddamn right, I would.
Vince McMahon. So how we move on from Vince?
You can totally see him doing that too, right? I'll kick his ass right now.